All right, hello and welcome to the Greenfield Library's presentation of theater resources for the Brind School students. It's nice to see everyone here. My name is Erin Carney. I am a Drexel student, graduate student. I will be graduating in a couple of weeks, and I chose to do my capstone project here at the Greenfield Library. I graduated from the Brind School with an acting degree in 2012. So I'm really excited to move forward in the librarian field and support performing arts students. We are going to be recording. Please feel free to mute your camera. I don't know if that's the right term. For theater students that might be watching this, we also have the pleasure of being joined by Jim Cohen here. Jim is going to be the Performing Arts Library Liaison. So I would love if you emailed me any reference questions, but I will not be here for another 3 weeks. So any questions that you have, you can be talking directly to Jim. He is very happy to be helping in any way, even if it's not something that you think our library might have. He would love to help you find it. It is literally his job. If anyone has any questions during the workshop, please feel free to just unmute yourself and ask, or you can shout it out into the chat box and Jim will be monitoring that. Great, so I'm just going to get started and share my screen. All right, so the first thing is, of course, the University of the Arts Library homepage. Just want to draw your attention to the contact button right here, the chat live button right here, and the contact us button right here. There are so many contact options because librarians really want you to contact them. So again, any questions about your critical studies classes, about your performing arts majors, or whatever other major, please don't hesitate to reach out. Something else to point out on the University of the Arts Library homepage is the one search bar. I feel like you might make the mistake to put in some of like your queries for like scripts and stuff in here. For the one search, it's going to primarily be finding articles and books that are going to be helpful for your critical studies classes, your first year writing courses. So we're not really going to mess with that during this workshop. We are going to be looking primarily at the online resources down here. The all databases right here is going to show all of the subscriptions that we have to different databases. That means that we pay for this. And normally if you would be trying to access it, you would have to fork over money. So don't do that. Let us do that. There are a whole ton of databases that we subscribe to, and I encourage you to peruse them at your own time. For the purposes of this workshop, I figured we would start with the streaming videos. You can find the streaming videos in the all databases, but there's also a quick link right down here under online resources. So for streaming videos, we have two different ones at the top, Alexander Street and Canopy Streaming. For the purposes of the Brind School of Theater, I feel like these are great streaming platforms if you're interested in on-film acting. There are a ton of access to classical movies, to documentaries, to interviews with performing arts professionals. So both of these are going to be really exciting if you're interested in like on-screen sorts of things, which I'm sure you're having classes on right now. Scrolling down, one of the other really pertinent databases is the Digital Theater Plus. And it always takes just a minute to load on my computer, but I'm sure that you feel and many of your teachers feel, as I feel, that plays, performances, musicals are meant to be watched and not read. I know I had to read a lot of scripts when I was in UArts, and it would have been really delightful to get to watch them. And especially during these days with Zoom, maybe having like a watch party with some of your fellow classmates would be cool. There's tons of different plays. There's Shakespeare, there's musicals, there's Peter Pan, there's regular classic plays. They're all mostly going to be from London's West End, which I had the pleasure of studying in London for my senior year when I was at UArts. And I do think it's one of the best cities for theater. So very high caliber acting. and also very well filmed, so that you can search plenty of plays on YouTube, and we don't pretend that that's not an option, but this is going to be the best produced videos you'll probably find. So for any musical theater fans, I did want to show a clip that we have from a production called Funny Girl, which I had not actually heard of until I was diving into this database, but here we go.
I am the beautiful reflection of my love's affection, a walking illustration of his adoration. His love makes me beautiful, sorry, so beautiful, so beautiful. And woman loved is woman glorified. I'll make a beautiful, 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 beautiful. Whoa, I'm beautiful. Boys, get me down. Let's dance. Come on. Whee! Here we go.
Great. So yeah, again, very high quality video, wonderful performers. Not only can you stream videos though, but there are also a couple of options up here, practice and practitioners. This is going to be a list of resources of interviews with different theater professionals. So directors talking about how they're directing different shows, designers, people who are making characters, creating characters for Shakespeare, for Tennessee Williams, that sort of thing. Also up here at the top is theory and criticism. So if you're interested in any essays about theater at large, these are going to be a collection of different writers in the industry writing about different types of theater, different years of theater, Shakespeare again, Tennessee Williams, all different technical theater, all different types. And there's also another option here, teaching with Digital Theater Plus. And this will actually give faculty suggestions about how to incorporate some of these resources in their classes. So I thought that was pretty exciting. Great, so going back to the library website, and again, streaming videos right here. Another thing that I thought would be useful to all different sorts of concentrations of theater is on the boards TV. This is very popular with our dance majors, but it's also such an interesting intersection between theater, design, set design, found spaces, and choreography. Plenty of musical theater majors are wonderful dancers in their own right. So this is going to have a collection of really cutting edge choreographers. You can search under films, or you can search under artists. And I think I was looking at Kyle Abraham the other day. So you can look at a specific choreographer. It will give a brief description of them, of their mission, of some of their most recent work, and then they'll usually have clips down here. One piece that I thought was also really interesting for design students is this one clip by Ezra Dickinson, Psychic Radio Star. And because a lot of dance can be crossed with performance art and avant-garde stuff, I thought this was a really great showcase of how you can utilize the set, you can utilize light design, sound design. There's some found spaces in here. So I'm just going to jump around a couple of times in here just to kind of showcase what they're using. I also did some shadow play that I thought was really exciting, and then move on into some projection. Really exciting soundscapes and other sorts of things, and videography too. So that was pretty cool. And going back to our streaming, my personal favorite streaming is Shakespeare's Globe on Screen. As I said, I got to study in London, and as many of you know, they reconstructed Shakespeare's Globe in London, and that is where he premiered most of his work. So it's going to really be the creme de la creme of Shakespeare performers. So much of Shakespeare is so difficult to understand off of script unless you're having physical cues, physicality, contextual cues from what the other actors are doing. So I think that's this is a really valuable resource for your, I think junior year classes especially, really dive into Shakespeare. So these are all going to be really contemporary productions, really well shot from, I believe, 2016 on. So again, really high quality recordings. But one of my favorite parts of Shakespeare in general is stage combat. I don't know whether everyone is being able to have stage combat classes right now. I certainly remember Charles Conwell very vividly. I'm sure he's still around. But I wanted to show a clip from one of my very favorite plays, Macbeth, where they have a really exciting axe and physical scene.
For my body, I throw my warlike shield. Lay on, Macduff, and damned be him that first cries, hold enough.
Ew. Sorry for spoiling the ending there, but again, that is one of my absolute favorite plays. They have live music, so just a lot of really wonderful professionalism here. So going back again to the library, does anyone have any questions about the different streaming platforms before I move on to scripts? All good? Great. All right, so another super important thing that I remember doing in the library for most of the time that I was at UArts was studying all of the scripts that they had, trying to find a monologue that was appropriate for me. Had no idea that there were digital options, and we have thousands of plays available for you. So this is in the all databases, and we're going to scroll down. The two ones that I wanted to show you are Bloomsbury and New Play Exchange. Bloomsbury Drama Online Playtext has 4 different collections that we have access to. These are going to be some of the biggest heavy hitting plays, so plays and shows and musicals that are successful on West End, on Broadway, that have appeared off Broadway to some acclaim. They're going to mostly be found here. Always takes just a second to load. But as you can see, as it loads, some of these shows are as recent as 2019, back when we could do theater on the West End and on Broadway. So yeah, there are a couple of different ways that you can search that I would love to show once it loads. There it goes. So yeah, so most of these are going to be listed alphabetically. There are some advanced play search options. You can see that there's a play finder, which has some kind of interesting search features. It'll ask you for number of scenes. There's also a monologue search bar that I don't find as helpful as the one on New Play Exchange. You kind of have to know exactly what you're looking for from what play and the word count. So that can be a little confusing, but the New Play Exchange has a great way to find monologues. So I can talk about that in just a minute. But for general plays, something that I was excited to see that they had was a specific show that I saw called Blacta at the New Vic, I think back in 2012, actually, when it premiered. So when you search a specific show, you can click on the record and it will give you a summary of the show and also how many roles are in it and what genders those roles are. You can scroll down, it'll talk about publication, the publisher, and then And then it'll show you the table of contents, and you can see the character list, the author, and notes, and then you can actually click on the script and access the script that way. So that's pretty great. Going back to our all databases, the other script finder that I think is really helpful, especially for monologues or for new sorts of plays, is going to be New Play Exchange. So these plays are all incredibly contemporary. Sometimes they're unpublished. So if you're a director looking to produce a little known show at this point, or an actor looking for a monologue that hasn't been done by absolutely everyone, this is a great place to look. Their homepage, I think monthly they change their featured scripts. So right now scripts about laws and lawyers are being featured. So if you're into some court drama, this is a great place to do that. They have recently recommended shows by different theater professionals in the industry and different featured plays and writers. So the search, like I said, the search bar is really helpful for looking for different shows and monologues. You can see on the filters over here for the playwright demographics, if you're interested in doing a play by a playwright who is trans or non-binary or has a specific race or ethnicity, they have options for that. If you're interested in finding a show with a character that fits your own demographic, you can ask for that race, ethnicity, gender, age, etc. Also, if you're trying to produce or direct or design a show and you want it only to be a 10 to 30 minute show, this is an option. If you're trying to find a show that's good for children, that's also an option. Or if you're looking for specific genres like radio dramas, musical, horror, political, these are all great options for you to peruse that. So yeah, does anyone have any questions about script finding? All makes sense? Excellent. So going back to our databases, don't want to leave out our performance design students out, and we've got a really great resource for them. Scrolling down to the Performance Design Archive online, I have had so much fun going on deep dive rabbit holes here. Really interesting things from the 17th century on, of like theater design, costume design, set design, lots of different stuff. You can search all of these things by the play specifically. You can search it by a specific designer if you're studying someone specifically. The genre, I've also really enjoyed looking in the areas of design. So this will show you all of the things that we have access to in costume design, lighting, projections, set. So in the costumes, for example, if you're interested, I've just been on a Shakespeare kick for this workshop, but if you're interested in seeing what costumes we have for Midsummer Night's Dream, for example, you can search that within costumes and it'll show up like with designs as back as the 1850s. I really loved this costume design for Queen Titania and her little changeling boy that she imprisons. But yeah, really gorgeous work, great inspiration. So yeah, so moving back, another thing that I personally enjoyed was set design. Again, we have almost 3,000 things for sets and with costume. And these will have models, it'll have aerial shots of specific plays. This one was really cool. So yeah, so getting to see lots of other different designs, very high professional budget designs, I think is really fun. For lighting and projection and sound, as well as set and costume, we also have different accesses to books, to lighting plots, to interviews, to all sorts of things. So this is a really great gem for our performance design concentrations. Do you have any questions about this database? Looking good? All right. So before I let y'all go, I wanted to do one more thing with image databases. So I'm going to go back to the home page. And again, image databases, same with streaming, can all be found under all databases, but there's a quick link right here under image. And the two that I want to draw your attention to for historical research and other sorts of things for your studies are ArtStore and ImageQuest. So ImageQuest specifically, I think can be helpful If you're studying like a specific play in a different time period, for example, A Doll's House by Henrik Ibsen was written in 1879. So if you're working on that show, you can look up what kinds of paintings and pictures and photos were being taken during that time, what types of things people were wearing, what was in the social conscious. There's a lot of colonialism pictures right now, which I think is pertinent to know if you're doing a specific play, but also pictures of engines and what cars looked like and that kind of stuff. If you wanted to get even more specific, you could put in Doll's House, 1879. And here's some ephemera that was actually from the first productions of that piece. So here's a playbill from one of the original productions. And then here is also a picture of one of the actresses who originated the part of Nora. And I think this is really, I would never have thought of Nora wearing this specific type of costume or having this specific type of hairstyle. So I think this is really valuable for your research. Another thing that you can use this for if you are designing props or sets is, I think one of Jim's favorite things to use is vacuum cleaner. So if you're working on a show where your character has to use a vacuum cleaner in the early 20th century, what did they look like? Not like how our vacuum cleaners look like. This one in 1905 had like push pedals. So I think that's just good to know, like if you're working on miming things or if you're designing props or sets, just kind of valuable information. Going back to our image database, the other thing that is interesting is ArtStore. So if you'll notice, all of the pictures and images from 1879 are black and white. So what did the colors look like back then? We're not going to have photos with colors, but this is going to predominantly be paintings and other fine artwork. And if you search 1879, there are plenty of really predominant painters and artists that were making work in this time. And this specific Mary Cassatt painting shows the types of colors that someone could be wearing in their clothes during this time. Also just the type of posture and how someone's holding themselves. So yeah, does anyone have any questions about image searching and how it relates to theater? Nope. Well, that is everything that I have for you today. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. Does anyone have any general questions about the theater program and how you can help? Nope. Awesome. I'm going to stop recording then.